In 2006, I got a phone call from an old friend of mine named Kim Stevens. Kim was an A&R guy at Atlantic Records at the time, and I had known him for years before that. But he told me that there was a band that he had signed that wanted to use me to produce their next record. And the band was called Need to Breathe. Had I ever heard of them? And I said, no, I've never heard of them. He explained to me they had made their first record the year before and they were picking up their option and they wanted me to produce the record. They were huge fans of a couple records that I had produced, a band called Jump Little Children, another kid named Owen Beverly, and Charlie Mars, 3 different records I had produced. And they wanted to work with me. So I said, well, send me a song. Let me hear what the band sounds like. So he sent me some demos that they had done for this new record that called The Heat that we were going to eventually record, and I was just blown away. The singer Bear had this amazing voice, and I said, I'm in. Let's do it. Anyways, I worked on 2 records with them, The Heat and then The Outsiders. The Outsiders has just become a gold record as of a couple months ago. And right now I'm going to tell you the story of the 3rd record we did together, called The Reckoning. The Reckoning began on January 16th, 2011. The original recording time period was slated for the 16th up through March 19th, 2 months later. The idea was to start in Charleston, where the guys live, and record 2 weeks there, then come back to my studio in Atlanta, record 2 weeks here, and then just keep alternating 2 weeks at a time. I would say we stuck to that for the most part, but the record did not finish on the 19th of March. It went on and on and on, and like most Need to Breathe records, I like to say, they're never really finished, they just come out. The record ended up with 14 songs on it. I think we recorded probably around 18 or 19 for this session, but the songs that ended up on it were Oohs and Ahs, White Fences, Drive All Night, A Place Only You Can Go, Slumber, The Reckoning, Able, Maybe They're Onto Us, Wanted Man, Keep Your Eyes Open, Tyrant Kings, Devil's Been Talking, Angel at My Door, and Learn to Love. I remember when I first got the demos from Bear or Seth, I think I got them probably about 6 months prior to making the record. I started getting demos. That was actually unusual for Need to Breathe. Usually with Need to Breathe, I'd get the demos a week before. And they would have some elaborate demos, some simple, and then usually there's a lot of writing while we were in the studio. That would happen. There would always be 3 or 4 songs written while we were in the studio that would make the record. I had previously done 2 records with them, The Heat in 2007 and The Outsiders in 2009. The Outsiders actually has just gone gold as of a couple months ago now. But The Reckoning people ask me about. I think that really struck a nerve with Need to Breathe listeners. It was a much more produced record than the previous ones that I had done, probably just because we spent more time working on it. But here's some videos from the recording that I took, and my assistant, who engineered a lot of the record, Ken Lanyon, took while we were in Charleston. I didn't really take any videos here in Atlanta at my studio. As a matter of fact, I don't really have any videos other than ones that the band took during the Outsiders, and I don't believe there was any taken during The Heat. I remember though their manager at the time, Kip Crones, telling me after we worked on The Outsiders, which was in January of 2009, put it in your schedule for the 2nd week of January 2011 when we'll start recording the next record. He knew in 2009 that we would be starting a new record in January of 2011, really to the date. It's pretty amazing. I actually had it in my calendar. So here's a couple scenes from the recording of The Reckoning.
Spell something and put it in the title. Probably his greatest work ever.
Pretty good there, Bear.
That was good.
I want to put a W on that.
Okay, now you gotta write right up here. Drums and a different color though, right?
Yeah. Well, we gotta have the checks in different colors. I don't want
Might
to
as
get
well
too
put
crazy.
the heading in different color.
Yeah, we could go.
Let's do that.
I want to get so much done now.
I feel like we've already gotten something done just by doing this, you know? This is us doing a
Have this up here be
typical ritual that you do when you make a record. You make a list of all the songs, and then you check off all the parts that need to get done or that are done until you have X's in every spot. So it'll be drums, bass, guitars, vocals, comped vocals, background vocals, so on and so forth. This is us with the titles of all the songs, making this chart to look at and track the progress of the recording. The beginning of any rock album usually starts with getting drum sounds. Here we are in the first stages of the record, getting the drum tunings together and figuring out what the sound of the drums are going to be, at least for the first song.
I can, but
Because I know it's like cramps your style and everything, but it sounds, when you're not doing them, the snare sounds a little thin, I think.
okay.
I mean, it's not that it
See,
sounds
to
really
me, like doing the rim shots in the verses just sounds a little too
Bombastic.
overly aggressive, you know?
Well, think of it this way, Joe. You don't have to bash it, you know what I mean? You can hit it lighter, you can do a lighter rim shot, but the tone of it, that just doesn't have any, it just sounds kind of, to me, a little bit, it just sounds a little thin.
Okay.
Just like that, even in like light rim shots, you know what I mean?
Cool.
Play it for a second, let me hear it. That's good.
Okay.
You don't have to like destroy it or anything,
Cool.
you know? And you're still doing your kick, you know, like you were, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds a million times better, Joe.
Sweet.
The first song on the record, Oohs and Ahs, is I think the first demo that I actually heard. I remember coming to see the band play a sound check probably about 3 or 4 months before we started the recording, and they actually played it for me. They had a pretty elaborate demo of this one that started with Bear singing the melody along with the piano, and I remember thinking, wow, this is a complete departure from the previous record, The Outsiders. We had had keyboards in many of the songs before, and Bear had played, you know, songs like Washed by the Water, but this minor sound that Oohs and Ahs has was very different for the band. As the track developed, we have a long jam session on the end. I remember just going on when they were jamming the song. A lot of it was done live. In fact, the ending of the recorded version was actually taken from one of those live jams. Let's do it, you guys. Rolling. Hold on.
You want the tempo? Or just gonna go for it? Rolling. All right.
Yo, here we go.
Rolling. One. He said you can't stop. All eyes on Bill. It's fine. You ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take me back to a simpler time. I never knew the difference and the words were mine. Another man could take it on in his stride. My track to left to stain. We were fresh off the vine, thrown into a barrel of a keeper's wine. Bottled in a store with a neon sign, and we're all the ones to blame. In our hearts, we know it's true. We gotta everything to make it believe. We gotta, still gotta go through the memories. Oh.
experimenting. They're still trying to figure out the drum groove. And this is a view from Seth's control room out into the live room. You can see me standing there with my hat and sweatshirt on. It was the middle of January. And I'm in there just to communicate with the guys. But Bear was actually in the control room singing, even though you can't see him there. Track 2, and one of the most difficult songs to record for the entire project, was White Fences. Beau had done a pretty elaborate demo of this in GarageBand. It included things like this feedback guitar part and some really high ambient guitars at the end of the track that would have been impossible to recreate again. Now, this is really common in recording, especially with bands that do elaborate demos, and what we usually do is just take them off their demo and incorporate them into the new recording. So we ended up doing that, and we spent a lot of time with the song to get it to kind of where Beau had heard it. But I think in the end, Beau was pretty happy with the final outcome. Track 3 on the album, Drive All Night, was definitely the hardest song to record. I think we did about 5 different versions of it. I remember one time, so we had kind of recorded the song, and then the A&R guy for the band, Pete, had come in and listened to it, and I remember listening down to the track and thinking, I don't think it's quite there. And then after he had left, we kind of started reworking the sections. We added the piano to it, and then we were playing it out live in the room, and that kind of was the genesis for the new version of it. There's some video footage here of it, but I remember, this is one of the really funny things about it, was on the very last day of recording, which was the 19th of March, I remember listening to it and saying, you know what, I don't like the drums on it. And we had already torn down all the gear, and we ended up resetting the drums up, remiking everything, and cutting the drums that ended up being the actual drum track to the song.
The other part, you know what I mean?
I love use something that lays flat on the drum over here.
Like the intro kind of thing?
Right, that's amazing. Awesome. Great. It kind of gives that one different snare. Without it being on the guitar.
This is what it looks like when you're working on a new Need to Breathe song. We go through about 100 different permutations of every single part. We have all the basic elements there. You can hear it in Bear's vocal, but everything around it keeps changing. Seth is experimenting with a different kind of bass line. Beau is throwing a towel over the snare drum to deaden it up, and we're just doing a lot of experimenting.
Driving. So when you go back to the verse, you go. This is the point where Beau came up with the banjo intro for the song.
once again, it was just through experimenting. Track 4, A Place Only You Can Go, is one of my favorite songs on the record. The vocal and guitar was all recorded together with Bear singing live. I remember their manager Kip talking to me about the song before we recorded it, and he said something about the band wanted bagpipes on it. And Kip suggested the Ilian pipes that are an Irish bagpipe that you can actually play melodies with. He said, "Do you know anyone that plays that?" I said, "Oh, an old friend of mine plays the pipes, and we could get him to come in and play it," my friend Tom Wadsworth. So we flew Tom down. He had never really played on a session like this. He'd never worked out a part, honestly, on a song. And I remember taking a while to get the part, but it really doubled beautifully with the pump organ that we had in there. It was a really special song for the record. Track 5, Slumber, was more of a studio creation. Seth had a lot of the ideas kind of put down with the guitar and the vocal, and then we started overlaying. We recorded the kick drum and the drums, but there's a lot of separate things that were going on. There's the bell parts, there's the ending, which has the huge drum sounds there, and those are kind of there's a lot of layering going on to get those huge explosive sounds there. I thought that was a really kind of dynamic song, but that was what I would call additive production, where you are adding parts to it. It's not a live track like a Drive All Night, for example. This is more of a studio-based track. And Need to Breathe records always can have this combination of both those, at least at this time. I wouldn't say necessarily now, but up until that time, they would have their tracks that were more either played live or have a lot of live elements, or they would be really kind of studio driven. So this is one of the ones that was like that, but it still had a really great live feel to it. The title track for the record, The Reckoning, was one of the last songs written. I remember, I want to say it's probably the last song actually that was written for the record. I really love that song. It had some great elements to it. The snare roll in the middle of the song where the drums does this kind of marching section to it. Later on, it's got this beautiful bridge melody that is just soaring, and the track reaches this climax, and it's real exciting. There's a lot of sudden dynamic changes in it too. Idea for The Reckoning, I want to even say that there was not even a song called The Reckoning when the album title was actually called The Reckoning. I think the album title came first, and then there was a song that used the title, if I remember correctly. Track 7, Abel, is a quintessential Bear kind of song. It was actually really easy to capture the vocal. He can do vocals like this anytime. I want to say that the vocal track was one time through live. I mean, this is just really his wheelhouse. And as an aside, I once had a band ask me that I was working with, "Hey, what's Bear like to do a vocal?" And I said, "Oh, he just sings through the song a couple times and that's it." And they couldn't believe it, but yet they could believe it. I said, "Just listen to him live. It sounds like it's the record." So anyways, the tricky thing for the song was the build into the bridge. It has this very long shout chorus vocal part with gang vocals that sing the melody in the bridge part with a big build up. And it was really difficult to get in the mix part of it, it was difficult to get the vocals to speak over that. But another thing that was cool is that we used this really ambient, long, open kick drum that had a ton of bottom end in the verse part. I thought it was really cool sounding. But the slide guitar part that Toby, I think, played slide on it, was really beautiful. There's a lot of really beautiful parts in the song, and I really, really like that song a lot. Maybe They're On to Us, track 8, was also one of the first songs I heard, one of the first demos that the band sent to me. That and Oohs and Ahs were kind of the initial vibe of the record. This in particular had this Latin feel to it. It almost has a samba feel or something to it. It's a really energetic track. It's really powerful. I love the big long snare roll that leads into the kind of climax of the song. and then the song drifts off into the ending again with where the instruments thin out. I think it's a really, really cool song, especially I thought it was going to be a great live song, which it ended up being a really, really strong live song. Wanted Man, track 9, was one of my favorite songs on the record. It reminded me of one of the deep cuts on the Joshua Tree, like One Tree Hill, things like that. It had a really cool open feel to it with the kind of the tom fills in the verse with that kind of a jungle beat that it had. And once again, it kind of reaches this crescendo with the really fast drumming, and then it explodes, and then into this out chorus, shout chorus, gang vocal that the song fades with. That's really kind of that quintessential Need to Breathe sound at the time, the gang vocal. They're really into those. Starting around The Outsiders and then kind of drifting over into The Reckoning, we had a lot more gang vocals, and I don't think that, honestly, on The Heat, I don't remember having any gang vocals other than Washed by the Water. That's one of the few songs I had. No, it's not true. Yahweh, I guess, on the first record, I had gang vocals as well, but this song was one of my favorites. I think it had I love the bells in it. It has that kind of Born to Run feel with the kind of the glockenspiel that's going on with it, but it's a really strong track. Okay, track 10, Keep Your Eyes Open, is probably one of the ones that you're wondering about. That was the big single on the record, or one of the singles, but probably the biggest single on the record. We spent a lot of time on it. It was definitely I would say the second to last song written after The Reckoning, I think, was the last song, but Keep Your Eyes Open was one of the last songs. We spent a lot of time on the song getting the intro hook right, sounding right, kind of working the transitions between the chorus and the verse. And there's kind of a cut guitar thing that's going on in the verses, but it's definitely a rock song. It's really, really interesting. You don't, I just listened to it again before I'm talking about it, and I thought of it as, I didn't think of it as much in my brain as a rock song as when I just listened to it. I was like, wow, that's rocking pretty hard. I remember when it came out, I believe that Taylor Swift had released a song with almost the identical title. They had opened for her on 80 some odd dates before the record was released, and I think she hijacked the song title because she heard them playing it every night, and she wrote her own song with the same song title that she put out as a single. It was something like that happened at the time, but it was I remember that. Tyrant Kings, track 11, was another one of my really favorite songs on the record. I remember that when Bear played it for me, that I just thought it had a beautiful lyric and a beautiful melody and just a great flow. I thought that originally when I heard it, I thought, wow, that could be a single. I think the lyrics may have been a little too esoteric for people, but that's where the bravery of the record label comes in, which you don't always find. So anyways, there's some just really great lyric writing in that song, and a beautiful, beautiful melody. And that was definitely one of my, when we first started out, that was one of my favorite songs in the initial batch. That was, once again, an early song that was written. Track 12, Devil's Been Talking, is a quintessential Need to Breathe track. The up-tempo, 4 on the floor, strumming, really powerful lyric, and exciting song. I remember tracking it in the control room. I think a lot of the vocal was done there. Definitely, I have Seth's bass part on tape right here. And I remember we went up to Nashville. We spent about a week up at Blackbird Studios in Nashville, and we did some extra vocals on the song, and we used they had a big echo chamber there, and I remember we did some we did some background vocals there that we added in. Here's a couple more shots that I just found recently of the tracking of Devil's Been Talking. The first one starts where I say it's take 24, and that's probably true. So check out these two other videos from that session. So here we are. Devil's Been Talking, take 24. This is the 25th take, and the gem. Okay, everybody, guys set? Guys all ready? Okay, Bo.
Roll.
Let's do it.
Vagabonds and doorless sheets, guilty for the words I speak. Say the truth will set you free. What do you want from me? 'Cause I'm uneasy, yeah, my skin, hanging on by a thread. Life, it hasn't left me, yeah, but I won't forget. Oh, devil's been talking. Devil is talking. Ship is sailing all through the sea, but it's sailing without me. I can't help but feel island for the sea. Oh, devil's been talking. Devil is talking. And now, so low, feels bad, down to the bone. Can't move till it's cold, for a thing, it's all. Say the truth will set you free. What do you want from me? Oh, the devil's been talking. Oh, the devil's been talking. Devil is talking.
I knew that was going to be one of the big live songs from the record. Track 13, Angel at My Door, I didn't actually produce, Greg Wells produced, but here is our pre-production that we did for it, including the original conception of the song with Bo playing in the kitchen.
Down
This next clip is when we were working on the arrangement with the full band.
pulling it down. That should stay the whole way that way the whole time. Never get into it. chorus gets into it by itself, like the melody.
I'm just trying to add something to the chorus.
Yeah, just do that, but you're playing harder.
I can barely hear you.
Well, I can play that. You can play the fiddle.
What we're waiting for. Yeah, been up and down. Maybe there's an angel standing on. It's hard now to tell where we came from. It's hard now to know. Some might say fire's on the way out. It's not there.
I think the double kick's too much. When you go full top kick.
Okay. So like, what?
Alright, I'll lay a beat like that. It's way too dynamic. You do that beat, but it's almost. Hey, that much, less. Yeah. Yeah. Behind, play behind.
I can't hear you.
Play behind me though.
I know. but I
Like
can't
slower.
hear you.
We don't know what's out there, what we're fighting for. Oh, in love
The last track on the record, Learn to Love, was definitely one of my favorite songs. It had such a haunting quality to it. Bear played a baritone guitar, which is a guitar that's tuned down a fourth from a regular guitar. So it has this really low part to it that just speaks beautifully. It's got so much of a lush vibe to it. Before we started recording the record, one of the things that the guys talked about, I remember talking with Seth a lot about this, was a certain type of ambience that we wanted to have on the record. And one of the things that we did, or that they did, was to buy a Lexicon 480L reverb. This is a reverb they made back in the 80s that was probably about $20,000 or $15,000 back then, and you could rarely find them. He found one on eBay, and it was probably $4 or $5 grand or so, and bought it. And we ended up running the reverb and printing it to the tracks, because they just don't make digital reverbs that sound like that anymore. They don't make any plug-in reverbs at the time that sounded as good as that. And that reverb that we used for the song really gave it this lushness that I think created the whole ambience for the track. We had a very long pre-delay on it, like over 100 millisecond pre-delay on it. I remember that. I was thinking it was like 105 millisecond pre-delay. And the melody is just so strong on it. It was just really beautiful. When I go back and I think of The Reckoning, that song just pops into my head. I don't think of the singles. I don't think of Keep Your Eyes Open or Drive All Night. I think of Learn to Love. That song just is, that was a really special track, a really powerful, powerful melody and a lyric. And I thought it was a great way to end the record. There were 2 other songs that we recorded, maybe 3, but 2 that I remember that didn't make the record but were on a subsequent EP release. One of them was Cops, but the other one was Disaster Road. And Disaster Road was, I think, really one of the favorite songs of everybody in the band and myself. And I don't know why it didn't make the record. I think it may have been too different from the rest of the songs, but in retrospect, it fit perfectly. And it was this beautiful song. I remember when Bo played it for us, and we were all just blown away by it. Here's a version of the band playing it in the studio. I don't remember if this is the actual version that made the record, but Bear's singing the vocal take live. Great. I mean, try it again, dude. I mean, I don't know how much better it's going to get. It's amazing.
Yeah, this is all good.
It's been really great to see what's happened with the band since The Reckoning. They've put out a couple records. This past record that just came out hit #1 the first week, which is really amazing. And I feel really proud to have been involved with 3 of their records. And I'm especially proud of The Reckoning. It was a great experience being able to produce a band like Need to Breathe and be part of their story. That's all for now. I'm Rick Beato.